Dr. Bill, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Bill, quick question. When you move into my, let's say, recommendations for my table topic, my computer froze for about a minute and I didn't. So if you don't
Okay.
mind taking 30, yeah, if you don't mind your feedback in terms of what you recommend, because my computer froze at the worst time.
Okay. I was going to say, Dr. Bill, you could have been the honorary speaker at your graduation and gave, knowledge of 53 years worth of experience back to those young people in the audience at your graduation.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we'll be in touch, everyone.
All right, thank you. In the next portion of our meeting, we're going to have two speeches. Our first speaker is Tiki Jackson. Tiki is going to give us her icebreaker speech. The timing on icebreaker speech is 4 to 6 minutes. Now, Tiki, I must say that by looking right now, that you're backlit. I really can't see much of you. All right, that's a little bit better. If you could adjust yourself, your camera angle, so that you're not backlit throughout the speech, that would be much better. We appreciate that. And do you have a title for your speech? Please come off mute and tell us if you have a title for your speech.
I think the volume.
I think she's having some little technical difficulty. Maybe she's got a phone and it's changing orientations on her.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, Tiki.
I apologize. I don't know what's wrong with my phone.
you see,
Well, that's okay. We all have these issues. Can you tell us what is the title of your speech?
The Overcomer. A will to overcome. Can you hear me?
Yes.
A will to overcome. But I can't get my stuff. I was doing good and then my battery was on like 30 and then wow, I forgot his name. He's off the screen. But while he was talking, my battery dropped all the way down to 15. And I don't know why. So that's why I tried to move to a battery, but I'm ready. I'm gonna try to do it from here.
Then let us give a voracious welcome to our guest speaker, Tiki Jackson.
I can recall being asked to join my company's softball team. There I found myself on second base, waiting for the ball to come. As I waited, I said to myself, Tiki, you got this. I see the ball coming in my direction, and I stick out my glove. And as the ball drew closer, I closed my eyes. Bam! The ball hit me in the face. I threw down my glove and I walked off the field. I should have never done that. Little did I know that the pain I felt in that moment was nothing compared to what was to come. A couple of years later, I got struck again. This was something I couldn't seem to recover from. I became homeless. And that homelessness lasted for over 4.5 years. Fellow Toastmasters, today I will give you 3 points that are connected to my topic, a will to overcome. The first point is the victim, the second, the survivor, and third, the overcomer. Let's begin with the victim. In 2017, after a break-in my house, I develop a victim's mentality. And I wrote this poem. Everyone wants to understand. Everyone wants to care. Everyone wants to give their point of view, especially when they haven't been there. If they truly can't, no one can truly tell me about their feelings about my life if they haven't been through it. I know they're just trying to help me. This I understand, but I guess I'm like a stubborn mule, just trying to protect my land. I have just shared with you how I became a victim. Follow me as I share with you how I became a survivor. In 2001, in 2021, I apologize, while homeless, I had an accident, and that accident led me to a short stay in a rehab center. And during that short stay, I once again was assaulted. But this time it was different. I will be nobody else's victim. So I made a choice. I made a choice to reach out and call someone. And guess what? They answered and they came and got me. And at that moment, I became a survivor. Now you understand how I became a survivor. Walk with me as I become that overcomer. Becoming a survivor wasn't enough because I found myself still in harm's way. There was more work to do. First, I had to change my mindset. You see, I was angry. So I had to realize I had to let go of some stuff. And I had to forgive people. And not for them, but I have to forgive them for me. And next, I had to do one of the hardest things ever. I had to trust someone else into my circle as my support person. I still had more work to do. Then finally, what I did was to fight the hate. I chose to volunteer. When I volunteered, that was fighting hate with love. Fellow Toastmasters, during this time, this is when I was becoming that overcomer. Fellow Toastmasters, I have just shared with you 3 points that are connected to my topic, a will to overcome. The first one was the survivor. The first one was the victim, next the survivor, and finally the overcomer. Or to tell you, in life, we all go through trials and tribulations. And we process these times differently. Therefore, I cannot tell you how to feel. But what I can tell you is, if you have a connection with a higher power, it can help. Now, I can't tell you, now I don't know your faith, but what I can tell you about faith is, if you have something else to just hold on to when everything else seems to be going wrong, that spiritual faith can be your saving grace. Now, as for me, my loved ones turned their backs on me, and I was devastated. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I made a choice, y'all. I made a choice. While living outside in Detroit, I went to the Christian Center every day, and a woman left a word in the window, and I read that word, and that word kept me. When my loved ones didn't answer the door for me, I read that word, and that word gave me hope. And every other horrible thing that I encountered, I read the word, and that word made me hold on a little longer. So, fellow Toastmasters, I encourage you today, if you're going through anything, small or big, get a connection with a higher power, because us as human beings, sometimes we might not pick up, but that higher power will never leave you or forsake you. He is consistent. And my higher power, if you want to know, is Jesus. Fellow Toastmasters, esteemed guests, thank you.
All right. Mhm.
Wow, thank you, thank you,
Yes.
Tiki. Boy, I am actually Tiki's evaluator later, so wow, that's quite a
Great.
speech, quite a speech. Thank you. Now, for the second speaking position, I want to let you may have heard me say before that I am teaching a public speaking class to middle school students. I was asked to create an instructional video. And so I would like to play for this audience my instructional video and get your feedback on the video. If there's anything, especially for I know I have people in my audience today who are educators. So if there's anything that you can suggest that would help me to improve this video or any general feedback, I would appreciate it. So I'd like to share it with you. I must tell you that it is a little bit long. It is an 8.5 minute video. So it is a little bit longer than what we usually see in Toastmasters. But I appreciate your indulgence and your feedback. Thank you. Can you see the screen with me, my arms out? Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, students. This is Mrs. Baird from Speaking Masters. Have you ever heard of a speech where somebody has so many details, so much information in their speech that you get lost? You can't keep up as they're going from one subject to the next. That is not effective communications, but we're here today to talk about a couple of tools that will make your communications so effective and so easy for the audience to follow along. We're going to talk about two main points: signposts and use of the stage. You might remember from our very first class, we talked about how each speech has an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. In that introduction, we give the audience a preview of what we're going to talk about. And in the body, we always have three main points. In the summary, in the conclusion, we include a summary. Now we're going to talk today about the tool of signposts and stage or area usage to help you communicate those organizational points. So let's talk about introduction. You know, when you give the introduction, you have to get the audience attention with an attention getter, and then you give them a little brief summary of the topic that you're going to discuss. So let's say that I'm going to talk about the topic of space exploration. I might start my speech something like this. The most amazing and exciting area of science today is space exploration. I'm going to take you on a journey of space exploration where we look at the science of the past, the present, and the future. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that introduction? There's nothing wrong with the words that I said, but I did not use signposts to help the audience have that visual clue that I have three main points. So let me do it again. Today, I'm going to talk about the very exciting area of science known as space exploration. Come with me on a journey as I discuss the past, the present, and the future of space exploration. See what I did there? I use the thing that we call signposts. That's holding up our fingers in a gesture that shows the main points that we're going to talk about. I had 3 main points, I counted them out: the past, the present, and the future. And when I got done, I just let my hand relax back down to my side in the neutral position. Let me try a different time. I've traveled all over the world, but there are 3 places in the world that I love the most. The 3 places that I've enjoyed the most are Disney World, the Grand Canyon, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. See what I did there? I tried to get your interest by telling you about the whole world that I've traveled. There were 3 places, and I know that signpost right here at ear level. That's where you should hold the signpost. I used my right hand because I'm right-handed. If I was left-handed, I would use my left hand. And when I got done telling you about my 1, 2, and 3 favorite places, I let my hand relax back down on the side. That's how you keep the audience engaged with 3, let them know. You have 3 points, and what those 3 points are. You gave them a little preview. Now let me go into the body of my speech and show how I continue to use my signposts, and I use this area, my stage area, this camera frame. The number 1 place that I love to visit is Disney World. I love Disney World because I love the costumed characters. I love all the rides and amusements, and I love the way it reminds me of when I was a little girl. My second most favorite place in the world is the Grand Canyon. It's awesome. Such raw, rugged beauty of nature. It's exciting in a different way from Disney World. And the third place that I love to visit is the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It has its own natural beauty, mountains and forests, and of course, the Great Lakes. So you see, there are 3 places in this world that are so dear to my heart: Disney World, the Grand Canyon, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I hope when you get a chance to go on vacation, that you can pick one of these places, my favorite places, so that you can experience their joy and all their attributes. That's the conclusion of my speech. What did I do? I used my first, my second, and my third points. I used 3 different positions. I even gestured to the other positions to show when I was talking about Disney World, I was talking about the Grand Canyon, and now at this position, the Upper Peninsula. I came back to the center for my conclusion, and I gave a summary. When I gave that summary, I mentioned those 3 places and used my gestures once again. Did you notice? Where did I use them? Did I use them down here in my palm, off to the side? Nope, right here, where everyone can see them, right at face level. This is a very important habit for you to develop, because in communications, in giving a speech, you're not just only talking. It's also the audience listening, digesting, understanding what you have to say. If you use these gestures and this space in this way, you will immediately be recognized and respected as an effective communicator. People will say, wow, what a great speaker. Because by helping them go along and follow your speech organization, you're doing something that most speakers don't do, even adults. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a business meeting where somebody just rambles on and on and on and on. In a monotone way, they give you no help or hints where they're going, what they're going to talk about next, and you feel lost. Signposts and stage presence, you will be more effective than virtually every other speaker. So I want you to practice this. When you practice your speech, whether you're practicing in front of a mirror or in front of people, or if you're recording yourself, make sure that you use these gestures. They might feel a little artificial at first, but the more you use them, the more they'll become second nature. The more you can just naturally raise and lower your hand, show your gestures, step to the side, step to the center, and those things will make you an effective speaker. I'm looking forward to seeing how you incorporate this in your next speech.
Thank you.
Yes. Excellent.
Thank you. Can you give me a second here? I'm having a little technical issue.
Hello, students. This is Mrs.
There we go.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for indulging me with a little bit extra long speech. And now it's time to go into our speakers evaluation portion of the meeting. I will be the first evaluator for Tiki's speech on the will to overcome. Tiki, you gave a very wonderfully personal speech. As I heard it, I heard a lot of emotion and strength in your voice as you told your personal story. I think personal stories are the most moving and inspiring things that we ever hear it when someone's giving a speech. You broke your speech down into 3 different status conditions that you were in: victim, survivor, and overcomer. And you talked about what led you into each one of those positions. And you also gave us the emotional feelings that came with those different positions. You gave us the poem, you gave us the conditions that you were living under, and you gave us the inspiration, what it was that inspired you to move forward. So in all those things, your speech was very inspirational and uplifting. And you gave us the takeaway, as all inspirational speeches must. You gave us that takeaway at the end of what we can do if we find ourselves in a condition that we can reach out and have that, find the strength in our higher power. So that is all the wonderful content of your speech. For the delivery of your speech, I would say that there's sort of a double-edged sword coming now. So on one hand, you had a lot of great gestures, hand gestures when you're talking about like the inner circle and the love and the giving, and you had all these wonderful hand gestures that went along with supporting the words that you use. But then on the flip side of that, there was something else going on, and that was a lot of swaying. And I think that back and forth swaying, it's sort of a nervous habit, and we do that, especially if we're thinking while we're talking. And we don't notice that we're doing that. But it's a little bit distracting to the viewer to see the swaying. So I'm going to suggest that as you practice giving this speech, which I think you must practice because this is your story and this is a story that needs to be told, you can practice it with the conscious thought that I'm going to practice it in a way that I'm in control of where my body's moving. And and by doing that, you will be even more effective in delivering your personal message that is so important to give. And now let's go on to the evaluation of my pre-recorded speech. So I'll ask Dr. Bill Liverman to please give me your evaluation, and then I'll ask for general comments from the membership.
Oh, yes. When Karen, when you mentioned middle school, my DNA just rose to another level. Because I had, in my teaching career, I taught college, high school. My last year was a middle school. at Bedford Service Learning Academy, 6th graders. So
Mm.
the first thought, now when you mentioned, it was just, the way you had it organized here is excellent. I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure as to whether it was all mixed students or whether it was I wasn't sure in terms of the population, but you did a great job. And initially, you just didn't speak for 8 minutes for the time. You just didn't stand still and speak first. Students, energy, right, Ken?
Oh, Bill, you're freezing on me. All right, Bill, you are frozen. And so I'm going to ask that we come back to you. And I'm going to
I
ask
love you mentioned
Bill,
and
frozen. You're
speaking whether
frozen.
person's preaching at church or in school or business.
Oh, I really wish I could hear what he was saying. I'm going to ask for comments from the others. Bill, I'm going to come back to you in a minute because you keep glitching. But I'm going to ask for comments from the other members,
Good.
and then we'll come back and wrap up with you if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Kimberly, do you have any suggestions?
No, I thought it was great, especially I don't know much about middle schoolers because I don't have children, but I thought that for the audience age, it was good, especially the pacing of the speech being maybe a little bit slower than you might normally give. I thought that was really good because these students might be taking notes or trying to write things down or understand the information. They're really learning, so they might need more time to process. So I liked that your pacing was a little bit slower than I've seen in some of your other speeches. And I also liked that you were so clear in all of your directions. That was really easy to follow, which is important when you're teaching young kids. So good job.
Thank you. Toastmaster Willie Johnson.
I took out my red pen for you, but I didn't use it. No, I thought you did a great job. I like the the greatest thing that I like, even though I didn't quite get to what's the audience, 5th graders, 6th graders, or whatever. But what I really liked about your presentation is you gave a explanation on what not to do, and then you gave a one on what to do. Yeah, I really focus on the first one, I think, because you were very clear. This is what I would say, and this is how I would make it better. And I think you did a good job of making those. I really liked your gestures, and the pace was awesome.
Thank you. Tomo?
Yeah, I really like your video, Karen. It's so organized and very clear. And then you show what is good, and after that, what is a good more detail position, or use the finger not to go down near the face. That is very clear because maybe young kids don't know how to the strategy or deliver things. So I really like it. I thought that you are professional. But one thing is maybe this is a technical issue. The voice is not so clear for me. What about Kim or Willie or Dr. William? Did you hear the very clear voice? I think Karen might forget the click the share the sound.
Oh, okay.
That's the voice is very low tone. I don't know, maybe only for me. Other
No, I had to lean in, but I don't, I didn't know whether that was a technical glitch or not.
Okay. All right. You're right. I did not share the sound. You're right. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. If I wanted to listen more clearly.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that tip. Tiki?
I actually watched the video and I heard you clearly. I I watched everything you said and I watched your movements and everything else. And I was critiquing myself as you spoke, as you did your, how to do the speech and everything. And I was like, yeah, my speech, I looked at your speech and I'm like, that was good instruction, really good instruction, because as a student, we would you demonstrated, your demonstration was great. As your vocal variety was great as a student. You show hand gestures as a student and you made it simple. So for students, that's good. So I think the instructional video was great. If other people couldn't hear you, I guess I was so centered in to try to see how I can be better. I think the reason my speech was a little different was because I couldn't get my camera right and everything went wrong on my phone. So I was nervous because I couldn't get it right and I couldn't see me. So that's why you got the movement and everything, because I couldn't see me. So, but your speech was great. Your instructional video, that was great for me. That was great for me. Thank you.
If it makes you feel any better, Tiki, that was the 5th time that I recorded it.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if I mentioned this, Tiki. I thought your voice was really great as far as the tone and the pacing in your speech also. Lots of vocal variety. Very good. All right, Dr. Lieberman.
Yes, I want to apologize. We've had my internet, it was unstable tonight. I'll have my tech person look at this tomorrow. But going forward in your speech, I love the 3. I like the way you use the 3s in terms of, you mentioned, of course, in the opening, body, conclusion, 3. And then as your speech, you move into, again, 3. Disney World, the Grand Canyon, and the Upper Peninsula. So I like the way you fragmented that part of your speech. You've used your fingers, because again, middle school kids, they're very visual, and I like the way you did that. The questions, the gestures, your vocal variety was great. You just didn't stay in one monotone. You raised your voice to emphasize a certain point. You lowered it. So I like the balance that you presented in vocal variety. Looking at that, the only maybe one little suggestion. I don't know. I guess me teaching my 6th graders, and they would tell me, I would hear them comments. They would say, "You better watch out, limit, because you be writing. All of a sudden, he's tapping your shoulder. Hey, get busy, stay focused." So my point is that I don't know how much movement you had in the video, but I know that again, the a little more movement was just a point. But I love the opening, the body, the conclusion, your gestures, your connection. I just love all aspects of that, Karen. Very good job.
Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate the feedback. We've already done our table topics evaluation. I guess Bill Moylan must have, I don't know if he had to leave for the birthday or if he just lost connection. But we'll go on now to our counter and timers report. Let's start with the counter report from Toastmaster Kimberly Baird Cooley.
Good evening, everybody. I'm giving the counter report. The purpose of this is to help us remain aware of our use of filler words so that we can hopefully improve in the future. I'll also call out any uses of the word of the day and anything uses of grammar or language that were particularly inspiring. So Dobby Hamilton is the first person on my list, and unfortunately she's no longer here, but she did a fabulous job. She used the word of the day once. She only had one and I noted in her table topics that she said when she would throw the rock, it would ebb, the water would flow and ebb, and I thought that was very evocative language, so I wrote that down. Next on my list is Distinguished Toastmaster Willie, and you only had one that I heard, and you also used the word of the day, which was great. Yay!
Oh,
Next is Toastmaster distinguished Toastmaster, Karen, now, to be fair, you did speak a lot this meeting. You used the word of the day twice. Yay! And you also had several words that were repeated a couple of times. So watch out for that. You had 6 uhs, and I believe this was during your video. You misspoke and then said, excuse me. But you did a lot of speaking today, so we're putting that in context. Next, we have Dr. Bill Liverman. You only had you had 2 instances of words being repeated. And more importantly, you used the word of the day. Good job. Okay, next up, we have Tomo. You did fabulous. I only had 1 from you, so that's amazing. Great work. Next, we have Tiki. You had we had 1 instance of a repeated word, 1 and 2 words of the day. Oh my God, great job. And then I also wrote down some evocative language that you used. You said you were struck again. And that was a really cool way to phrase up that language, because you were talking about the struck in the face of the baseball or the softball, and then you were struck in a situation. So I thought that was amazing. Next up, we would have Bill Moylan, but he's not here. He used the word of the day. Good job to him. And he had 1, and I was not able to count for myself. So sorry, I wasn't paying attention closely enough. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's go on to our timers report. Tomo?
Okay. So I will give you the very serious timer report today. And look at the chat box. Everything in the detail is here. And then the news is no one disqualified. Everybody qualified. Great job.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Oh, let's see, general evaluation of the meeting. We did start the meeting on time. We've had all the roles filled, so I appreciate that. And at this time, I'd like to open for any questions or comments that we may have. Questions or comments? Yes, Kimberly.
I have a comment. I would just like to congratulate Tiki on doing her first speech with our club. And your story is so inspiring. It was one of the best icebreaker speeches I've ever heard. I know you were struggling with your camera positioning, but I actually loved where it ended up, because the kind of lower angle made you so tall and powerful in the frame. So if you're going to give that speech again, I would try and replicate that, because that was amazing. So anyway, so excited to hear your speech. Thank you for giving it. Great job.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a comment, Madam Presiding Officer. I would also like to say, Tiki, I really enjoyed your icebreaker presentation. I took notes as you were. There go my. I took notes as you were giving your presentation, so I agree with the evaluator. Let me just give you one point that I think will make your presentation even stronger. I know you gave us those 3 points, and at the end, you said, I have given you these 3 points, and you went over the 3 points. It's like a close. And then after that, you told us the story about going to the church and faith. So one of the things that I would recommend is, when you practice that, see if you can go ahead and put that last story right above where you're saying, now I've given you those 3 things, and you line it out. So when you point those 3 things out as the conclusion, you end with that and don't start another story.
So move the inspirational part before.
The inspirational story. But if I if I put the inspirational story, won't it kind of, it'll kind of, I don't know how to do that because
Yeah,
I
I'm not saying
understand
it would
what
do.
you're
I'm just
saying.
saying that as you practice, you might want to practice doing it and see how that feels.
Okay, I'm gonna try to turn it around. Okay, I'm gonna see how that works. I have it written down, so I'm gonna see how it works. I'm gonna rearrange it and see how it works. And then when I do it, when I practice it, I'm gonna come back and give it and see if y'all like it that way.
Oh, good.
But
How about that?
take one thing in your speech, you told your story, and the basic, you really connected with the audience. It was connection. In other words, you told what you experienced. You just didn't read a book and write about, nothing wrong with reading a book and writing about, getting a report on that book, but I'm just saying, you gave a story on your life, and that created great connections.
Because that was my icebreaker. Y'all said give an icebreaker. So I was like, let me tell you who I am. So telling you who I am, I was a victim, but then I became a survivor, and then I'm an overcomer. I didn't tell y'all the last part. I didn't do the last part because I couldn't get my camera right. So therefore everything was messed up. And what Karen said was right. I was thinking. So in thinking, I've given this speech several times, but in thinking, I changed the end. I didn't tell you that being an overcomer, you are constantly overcomer. You might become a victim again, but you're gonna become an overcomer. It's a constant task. No matter what goes on in your life, every day you have to choose to overcome. So the last time I did this speech, I did a Q&A after the speech, and that was so amazing. So maybe I can do a Q&A with you all, and that can be my wrap up of my number 4 level 4, because I need to do one more speech for level 4, and I need a Q&A. So if you all will let me do my Q&A with you all, I will be grateful.
All right. Let's move. Thanks, Tiki. Let's move on to our next meeting. Let me look at the date of our next meeting. Oh, it looks like we're going to have 3 weeks until our next meeting. So our next meeting will be August 13th. So we have an extra week because of the way the calendar falls. So, and instead of reading off the available roles, I will just ask people what role they would like in the next meeting, and whoever is not here will pick what's left. So let me start with Dr. Bill Liverman. What role would you like?
Yes, I volunteer to be the master.
Toastmaster of the day?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Toastmaster of the day, yes, that'll be fun. Yes.
Kimberly?
I'll do a speech.
Tiki?
I can be the eye counter. No, or the time. Yeah, the eye counter. No, I want to be the timer. I'll be the timer.
Okay. Tomo?
I'm not sure I can join the meeting. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But if that is, I arrived the international flight from Bangkok that day. So if I can make it.
Well, you should do both. Oh, and hop on one foot at the same time. All right. Willie, will you be able to join us? And if so, what would you
really,
like to do?
I play it by ear.
Okay.
So let me just say, I'll sign in about 15 minutes early if I can on the next meeting, and whatever's open, I'll go with that.
Okay, sounds good. And then for now, I will sign myself up as table topics master. But as as we reach out to the other club members, I'll be willing to switch if somebody else wants to do that. All right, wonderful. We've had a very good and effective meeting today. We've covered everything that's on our agenda, and we'll be ending 15 minutes early, if that's all right. Oh, look, Tomo loves it. So thank you all for your participation. I think this is a wonderful club, a great club. I love what we do here. And
Yes.
I congratulate everybody for the progress that I see. So thank you all, and we'll see you on the 13th.
Okay. Have a good day, evening, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, good night.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
night.